What is going on, Reality Pop Nation? Thank you for tuning into the Reality Pop Network. If you are into reality TV, this is the place to be. And you are here for this episode of The Block, recapping week one of Celebrity Big Brother. It was a crazy week, insane week with a lot of fantastic gameplay. And we have some people here to discuss it. If you're into Big Brother, stick right here on this channel for all your Big Brother needs throughout the season. Celebrity Big Brother, even in the off season, as well as into season 24 of Big Brother. But I do want to welcome on Jackson and Kay. Thank you both for being here. How are you both?
Doing great.
Doing real good. I'm excited to be here and talk about Big Brother.
Awesome. Well, hey, I want to start off with this question real quick. If you had to pick one word to describe the first week of Celebrity Big Brother, what would the one word, maybe one phrase be to describe it in your eyes?
I would say exhausting. These house guests have not seemed to keep quiet, and they do not sit down. They don't rest. At first, I was afraid that maybe they would be tamed and be, afraid about their image and take it softly, but nope, not at all.
Jackson?
I'm going to go with confusing. Like, we didn't have live feeds night one. We didn't get the live feeds until, day 6 or day 7. And a lot of stuff happens by that point where we're just trying to piece together what has happened from different conversations, what fights have already taken place. Somebody apparently left the house for a little bit. So there was a lot we missed that we had to try to get caught up on just based on hearsay.
Do we know who left the house?
Yeah, Kirkpatrick. Insane.
Oh, okay. Okay. Do we know why? Was that explained?
It's up in the air.
Yeah, just from hearsay, it seems like he kind of got his feelings hurt when Mariah made a comment about him being Justin Timberlake's backup dancer.
That's the Twitter rumor. I don't know. I cannot confirm nor deny anything, but
that's the current word going on.
I heard that the incident between him and Mariah happened last week, and then he may have left the house on Wednesday because of a false positive COVID test. That's what I heard. I have no idea what's the truth, though.
Right.
Yeah, because he didn't want to leave because his feelings got hurt. So all of a sudden, false positive. That's classic. But no, 3 days in a row, okay, I think exhausting is a very good word because that's how I feel. I just, I'm used to 3 times a week, but I'm not used to 3 days in a row for Big Brother. And it was just frying my brain. I even had to watch the eviction episode in 2 parts just because I needed to take a break from the 2-hour episode because it was just a little bit too much for me as far as just consuming so much back to back to back. So it was exhausting, but I do think it was actually a lot of fun. As confusing as it was, Jackson, like you said, I think the cast is actually kind of doing a really good job of playing the game thus far. We've seen some alliances form. We've seen some strategic gameplay going on as well. And it doesn't seem to be that mild right now, which going into a Celebrity Big Brother season, I've always assumed that's what we're going to get just because they maybe aren't too diehard of fans or too eager to play the game.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is a couple of them are coming in knowing what the game is about, and that has really kicked the game into high gear. Todrick was very in touch with a lot of the Big Brother contestants before the season started. I know Shayna is a big super fan who has been playing real well. Just those few people have really kicked the game into high gear immediately when the feeds came on.
Agreed.
Chris Kirkpatrick as well, I think, is a pretty big fan of the show, and he's been playing his hardest. And Teddy Mellencamp, she surprised me, during her last couple of days at the house because she really seemed to be campaigning for herself, and she seemed to really, really want to stay.
Yeah, you really don't see that all the time. A lot of times they'll just see that their time is up and just wait until eviction night. But she was really fighting until the last minute to sway votes in her favor, which is impressive to see.
Yeah, and it's cool because, like I said, you don't always expect that from the celebrity season just because it kind of, Celebrity Big Brother kind of has a gimmicky feel to it just as far as the name goes even, but it's also like a nice appetizer for us super fans that love watching the show to get some Big Brother gameplay in their system when it's the off season from the summer season. So it is nice to see some tough gameplay. And even Todrick, like you mentioned in his intro, talked about how he wanted to play a Derek or Dan Giesling type game, which I immediately perked up because those are two of my favorite games that have happened in the Big Brother history of the gameplay. So it was really exciting to see that there was some knowledgeable celebrities coming into the house. And then there's obviously others that are not that knowledgeable of the game, but it's kind of a nice mix, I think. Speaking of Todrick, what are the thoughts on just all the alliances that are forming and how many people are kind of coming up to Todrick? Is he just a likable guy? Is he a trustworthy guy? Because he seems like he's kind of cool with everyone at this point.
Yeah, I think Todrick did a pretty good job of kind of playing both sides in the first week. He started off in the Formation Alliance, headed by Carson and Cynthia, maybe. And then somewhere along the way, he kind of switched and was kind of in Misha's ear a lot. And he ended up being, I think, the mastermind behind Misha's HOH. And he really had a big influence on who she put up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's go for it, Jackson.
I'd say, Todrick, I think, is just a very personable guy. And just in the early goings of the house where everyone is, uncomfortable around strangers, I think he is very out there and makes people feel comfortable and that they just want to work with him.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that. And I think that also stems from the fact that he does have some experience watching the show. So he kind of knows how to handle the first few days to not really put a target on his back, but also to be able to play a good enough game to kind of form alliances with those other strangers in the house. But it was kind of an interesting first few days just from the standpoint of how quickly they went on TV, not realizing how many days it actually spanned in the house, being over 8 or 9 days, like you had mentioned, Jackson, earlier when we were talking. So the game is already afoot and it's moving full steam ahead. But the twists are kind of already in play as well with the Mon Juan hat and causing, both rewards and punishments as well. Real quick for those watching, obviously a majority of you watching have seen the first week already. So not much to explain regarding the twist, just a hat that kept someone safe from eviction and then in turn at eviction night caused someone to actually get put up on the block, which ended up being Todd Bridges. He was the one that replaced Mira. Did I pronounce it right? Mirai. Replaced Mirai on the block, actually, in kind of a split house as far as the vote goes. But what were your thoughts on that that twist in the game? Did that add anything to the game for you? Was that just kind of producers maybe trying a little bit hard to add something in early on? What were the thoughts on the hat as far as the dynamic of the house?
I think it's hard the producers are always going to throw their twists in. So as far as Big Brother twists go, I don't really hate this one. I do feel like it had the potential to really, screw someone over, to give, one person that much power to put somebody's game at risk with minimal time to actually do anything about it is, always a bit risky, but based on what happened, it didn't end up being too much. And also being in week one, nobody's looking to make huge moves, like make any big waves. So they're really just going to try to ride it out as easy as they can.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. And even though the twist didn't end up having a huge impact on who was evicted, I still really appreciated it because it gave us a really, really tense moment as viewers. Because in that moment, for those 3 minutes, we didn't know what would happen. We didn't know if Todd would actually be the one to leave or not.
Yeah, it really caused some drama there during the voting and split house, actually 5-3 in favor of keeping Todd, and Teddy ended up going home, which was kind of weird because Teddy and Misha early on in the week seemed to kind of have some good rapport, part of, kind of not necessarily a deal that was made, but I guess it was kind of a deal of, hey, I'll keep you safe kind of thing. And Teddy got very emotional in the HOH room after, like we mentioned, some people chirping in Misha's ear. Do you guys have any problem with that type of shift happening after information is revealed, or do you think someone should just stick to their word no matter what, or do you think that type of shift is fluid in this game and completely acceptable?
I would say it's okay, but also I don't mind savage gameplay. A lot of people do think that the emotional aspect of the game is really important, and they do think that being nice to people and not cutting people's throats along the way is the key to winning.
Yeah, so it's ultimately a matter of who you're there with and who you are making these arrangements with. Like if you have to recognize who you're playing with, like the past season of American Big Brother 23 had a house full of game players who appreciated the gameplay. And like you saw them talk about the jury about, oh, wow, we got. That's so impressive. These celebrities who, don't watch this show, don't know anything about it, they might not feel that same way. Lamar has talked a lot about how, like loyalty is one of his big things. Like he's always been a great teammate, whatever team he's been on, so if you straight up promise Lamar safety and then go back on that, I can see him really taking that the wrong way.
Personally. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think everyone brings different values into the house based on their past experiences, and that's one of Lamar's for sure. I personally don't have a problem with it, just because when you make a deal like that with someone about, oh, I will not put you up, and then more information comes out, it's almost like you're agreeing to something under false pretenses. Like at the time you're agreeing to it, but like if she told her, hey, I won't put you up, and the very next day was she's targeting you, then of course you're going to switch your mind, change your mind, and go after her as a target if you're in the position of power. So I don't really see a problem with Misha doing that, and I do think Teddy down the road would have been a strong player in the game just based on her gameplay. So I mean, I do think even though it was week one, it was kind of a big target taken out of the game just from the standpoint of the potential that was there that she could have stirred up. She played a pretty fierce game from the beginning. Let's talk about this real quick. The power of veto competition. So obviously it was Mirai and Carson up on the block originally on Nisha's head of household. And the power of veto competition comes out and Carson just absolutely destroys this thing. I mean, I think he beat everyone by at least like 4 or 5 minutes in the challenge and just completely dominated. Is Carson a sneaky guy in the house to look out for in this game? Does he know more than he's letting on? Because in my opinion, doing something like that, I mean, that was a very impressive competition win for him. And I'm just curious if that was a fluke or if that is something that could be sustainable for him.
Yeah, I don't think the target was too big on Carson's back before the veto competition, but after, I definitely think there were a lot of eyes on him. He was already probably the biggest social threat coming into the game because he knew everybody and had working relationships with most of the house already. You add to that the fact that he can actually win competitions and he's really smart and good with the puzzle type games. He's definitely somebody to look out for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's been working on trying to downplay it. Like I've heard him mention his age much more recently since the veto competition has been played. He's really trying to make it seem like that was a fluke. That's not the standard. Don't expect him to, be competing in all these challenges because, he knows he's good socially. And if people start becoming aware of him, then they'll take the shot sooner rather than later.
Yeah, no, and I agree. I think winning a competition early on like Misha did with the head of household, that obviously is going to put a target on your back moving forward. But then obviously the power of veto can do the same thing. Really any reason for other house guests to hold something against you early on is going to be a target on your back. And then it comes down to how good socially you can play. So hopefully, I think Carson has a great social game or social ability. So I don't know if he'll be in trouble. But then as far as Misha goes, do we see Misha potentially being in trouble moving forward, considering she won't have the opportunity for HOH? Do we think she might be in trouble from the other side of the house, the Formation Alliance?
Yeah, so I haven't been able to get the best read on Misha so far. From early perspective, I get a big Christmas vibe from her. Very athletic, very straightforward. I think she's going to compete. I think she's going to find her people. I think she's going to stick with her people and be against the other people. And I don't think there's going to be much depth of gameplay from her, but she will go 100% in every competition, which as in MMA, she's one of the elite athletes in the world. So like she could theoretically just win a challenge every week till the end of the season.
I like that. Okay, what about you?
I definitely agree with you, Jackson. I think Misha is probably going to stay on the side that she's on, especially since she's the one that mainly formed her athletes alliance. I think she's going to really stick with those people. But as far as her social game goes, we'll see, because if somebody on the opposite side of the house does get into power, I think Misha is going to be in a lot of trouble, because she has had the names of, people on the other side in her mouth a lot.
Yeah, she won that first HOH, and I can see her seeing herself as like the team captain at that point, and she drafted her team, but within her alliance, and so now they're playing against the other team, and that's how she sees the game.
Yeah, and seeing it from that lens can definitely be very dangerous, just because that's not always the case. It's a fluid game, and thinking that there's teams can make it even more cloudy for the person that thinks they're in charge. And the person that typically thinks they know the most typically knows the least, based on what we know is going on within the game. Is there anything else that happened in the first week that I'm missing or that I'm forgetting? Did anything else happen that either of you want to bring up? Any interesting points, maybe some interesting conversations, or any moments that were important other than Todd snoring a lot?
I guess I will add that I think Shayna and Chris Kirkpatrick played the best games during week 1. I think that Chris Kirkpatrick did a really good job, because he's on a solid side of the house. He's on the Athletes Alliance, Athletes plus Chris. And so he has really strong people with him, but also he's definitely not the biggest physical threat, or probably not even the biggest social threat on that alliance. So I think if it came down to it, people would come after his alliance members before him.
So he's got some shields in the way. So I like that. He's got some shields, and he's just kind of sitting there comfortably at the moment. But he also has so much knowledge of the game that is also a kind of feather in his cap, if you will, moving forward. So not only does he have shields, but he has some knowledge. Jackson, what about you? Anything from your end from week 1 that you want to bring up?
I just think it's real funny that the first TMZ mentioned this season is Lamar apparently pooped his pants in the middle of the night, or pooped the bed in the middle of the night a couple days ago.
Oh my God.
He just walks into the bathroom and just proudly proclaims it.
Oh my God.
Like, you're joking. Nope. That's where Lamar's at. He's fighting for Khloe Kardashian back. And
that was
enjoying his presence in the house.
That was interesting. Maybe I think he's trying to use the camera and the national TV as like a Romeo and Juliet type moment to try and win her back.
He just found out today that the losers vote for the winner at the end. So
that's
really fun. Yeah, I love the celebrities figuring out the game as it goes along. Like, I laughed so hard at Todd laughing at the HOH having safety for the whole week.
Oh,
like, that's the base level of the game, and he's just amazed by it. It's a great time. I love the celebrity seasons.
Yeah, it is fun, and like I said, it's kind of like a nice thirst quencher in the middle of other seasons. Obviously, Survivor we get 2 times a year, but Big Brother only 1 time a year. So it's kind of like a good middle ground to watch some Big Brother gameplay. But I will ask the last question right now. I know Kay, you already mentioned Chris and Shayna.
Being
were the best
in
game
good
players.
Spots. Yep.
Jackson, best person in the best position right now in your eyes.
Best position right now. I think I'd have to agree with Chris Kirkpatrick.
Okay.
I think he might be a little blinded by his fandom to Misha Tate, or I think that's her last name. Like, he's a big MMA fan, and like I think that's blinding him a little bit to where like it might just not be lining up for their games, or I'm not sure they really see the game in the same way. And so if anything could screw him up, it could be that, but he is in a really good position right now. And the knowledge of the later game will really help him as it moves forward.
I like that. I like it. And during the intros on Wednesday night, I actually said, you know what? I'll go for Chris just because he seems like a likable dude and we'll see what he can do in this house. So I'm happy to hear you both say you think he's in the best position. But that changes quickly in this house. That can change
very
extremely
quickly.
quickly. I mean, if we're thinking it, there's others in the house that could also be thinking it, and then he becomes a target potentially down the road. So we'll see what happens. But anything else from either of you before we call it an evening here on the block?
I'm really enjoying Chris Kattan more than I thought I would.
Okay.
He is a very awkward guy, but he's very funny. He seems very nice. And I'm just enjoying his presence in that. Well, when he's on the feeds, he's mostly sleeping, but when he's there,
he just seems happy to be there.
Yeah.
Just seems happy. Anything else from UK?
I would say the same, but for Lamar Odom.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't always know exactly what's going on, but he sure is lovable and he's trying, okay? He is trying to learn the game the best he can.
That's the best. Like that innocent part, the innocence of some of the players is one of the funniest parts. Like
it's all I can ask for them to just dive in and actually try.
Yeah,
Right.
it's and honestly, we'll see how they evolve as players in the game as the days unfold. As they learn more about the game and how easy it is to manipulate people and be betrayed and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see how that happens. But when that does happen, we will be right back here on the block on Reality Pop Network to dissect it all for you. Our next episode will be following the week 2 eviction. Again, Celebrity Big Brother, it is an extremely fast season. Only 11 house guests, now down to 10 with Teddy Mellencamp being evicted already. So we will be moving very quickly, but please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the videos, comment your thoughts, and tune in every time we go live for the Big Brother, Celebrity Big Brother recap here on the block. But Jackson, Kay, thank you both again for being here. It was a great time dissecting week number 1. Look forward to doing future weeks with both of you. And if there's nothing left, we will call it an evening. All good?
See you next week. Excited.
All right, Reality Pop Nation. You guys take care and go make this world a better place. Thanks.